It's alright, Buttercup. This ain't no day spa. So I was having this discussion today with a client about doing the work and how they were finding it uncomfortable. It was causing discomfort. And as any responsible trainer would do, checked in to find out what the discomfort was from. And it wasn't joints, it wasn't ligaments, it wasn't anything like that. It was just straight up uncomfortable. The exercise was uncomfortable. That's all right, because this ain't no fucking day spa. That's just a part of the process. It's a part of what we're doing here, is that you are going to be uncomfortable. And in fact, sometimes that's the whole point. That is the whole thing that we are looking after. That is the whole thing we are chasing. That you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You need to activate your, your reticulated mid-singular cortex. It's a muscle in your brain that is linked to better aging, to better results in terms of not getting Alzheimer's and dementia, in terms of happiness, in terms of development, all these kinds of things. And do you know how you develop it? Do you know how you build this party brain up? The people who have the most well-developed ones, they do difficult things. They voluntarily and regularly choose difficult activities to undertake on purpose, by design. And they get good at it. They get really fucking good at it. And that's how you get better. That you must choose discomfort. You must find exercise that is just uncomfortable and push through and just work on your mental toughness by choosing exercises that are hard, by choosing exercises that are going to challenge you and push you and test you. You have to just go out and find them and push through it. That's why my staple is a weighted walk, where you put fucking weight on your shoulders and you just walk as far as you can for 22 and a half minutes, and then make sure that you get back that same distance in 22 and a half minutes. That's the reality of it. And you must undertake these tasks. So every single day I put myself in discomfort, and I've upped it by, I don't listen to anything. There's nothing going in my head. There's no stimulation. There is just my brain ticking away. And you discover a hell of a lot about yourself when you just sit in silence, or you're suffering in silence. There is nothing to distract you. There is nothing else going on. There's just you and the pain. And it's enlightening to discover what goes on in your head when there's nothing but you and suffering. There's nothing but you and getting this work done. You suddenly hear loud and clear that bitch voice in the corner, that voice that whispers to you. It's going, oh, you could just stop. You could slow down. Hey, take it easy. Hey, don't keep pushing like this. Hey, you could just rest a minute. Just take a breather. And you need to take charge in that moment and shut that voice down. You need to shut it up right then and there and make sure that you are continuing to move forward, that you are doing the work that is required. It is so fundamentally important that that's who you are and that's what you do. That you show up and you win that day. That in that moment, in that discomfort, when you don't want a bar of it, when you want to quit, that you keep moving forward, that you find a way to overcome. And this in turn makes life easy. If you voluntarily and regularly choose discomfort, you choose to put yourself in a situation, in a setup that sucks, where you embrace the suck, the rest of life gets easier. How can the rest of your life fuck with you? If you make that choice voluntarily every day, what the fuck is the rest of your life gonna do? Nothing. Whatever it throws at you, you're like, oh, well, whatever. Cakewalk. You build up this ability to just handle it because you've chosen already to go handle that stuff. You've chosen already to go out and do that work. That separates you. That automatically separates you from the rest. Puts you in your own class. It's like that Michael Jordan quote, Practice so hard that the game is easy. So practice so hard that the game of life is easy. That you work so hard that the other challenges that you face, they're just whatever. You know that you will overcome, that you will endure, that you can embrace the suck and you can keep showing up. And you'll reach a point where you have things that others can't. They just can't achieve. Because you did things others won't, and now you can do things that others can't. And when you get to that point, that's a great separator. Makes me think of Cam Hanes. So if you don't know who Cam Hanes is, he's a bow hunter. He's an endurance athlete, and he has worked tirelessly to be the best in his field. He's probably one of the greatest bow hunters in the world at the moment. And he had, one of his training methods is that he's got a hill outside his house, and outside of his property, and I think it's a couple of miles up, and he hikes up it, and he's got this giant rock that he carries up and down this hill, because it's just grunt work. There is no way to get it comfortable. There's no way to make it easier. There's no way to make it simpler. You just fucking do the work, and that's the end of the story. And on the rock, he has written, "Must be nice." Because the comments he gets all the time is, it must be nice. It must be nice to do that work. It must be nice to reach that point. It must be nice to have those capacity. Yeah, it is nice because he did the work. And that's the same for you. It's the same for me. If we just show up and do the work, regardless of the situation, regardless of the environment, regardless of what's going on, you will achieve things that other people can't. You keep building that muscle. It's literally a muscle in your head that separates you, that makes you able to handle difficult situations. It's just part of your brain that develops, and those that have that have better lives. Look at this weather out here. It is bucketing down with rain, and yet it's still hot as balls. It's still, we're having the weirdest weather at the moment. It's currently 18 degrees and pissing down with rain. You know what I'm doing later today? Going for a fucking walk with 30 kilos on my shoulders. Because I said I would. Rain, hail, shine, heat, doesn't fucking matter. Same setup, same conditions, different day. I put on my thermals, I put on my trackies, I put on my hoodie, and I go for a fucking walk. I put weight on my shoulders, and I do it every single day. I develop that muscle. I develop that discipline muscle. So that when other things are faced, they become easy. I'm facing things at the moment that should be crippling me with stress. And yet I just look at it and go, work's got to get done. You just keep showing up. And I will win. I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know what that's going to look like. But I know that I have built the mental fortitude and the discipline that I will just keep showing up, and I will win eventually. And that comes from doing this work. It comes from building this muscle. It comes from just continuing to show up and win the day. Building that muscle. But it's got to be things that are difficult, that are challenging, that you don't enjoy, that push you past your comfort zone. So I like working out. I can push myself hard in the weight room, and I love that. I love that feeling. I love the pump. I love the challenge. I love the shaking muscles. I love all that. All right? I've been doing that since I was 14, so nearly 2 decades. I've been doing that for the majority of my life. I love that part. That doesn't develop that muscle. That doesn't put me outside my comfort zone like that does. The weighted walk does. The weighted walk still sucks. It fucking sucks. There is not a single day that I look forward to doing that weighted walk. I don't get any enjoyment out of that. It just gets fucking done. And that builds that muscle. So you need to find that thing that develops it. It's like when they talk about, as you get older, you should find things to stimulate your brain and your mind and all that kind of stuff. What they neglect to mention is that it must be uncomfortable. It must be something that is difficult. It must be something that doesn't come easily or naturally. It must be something that pushes you beyond that point. So if they recommend doing crosswords or Sudokus or whatever the fuck they are. So if you enjoy those things, they're not doing it. They're not protecting your brain. They're not pushing you forward. You must do things that you do not enjoy in the moment. I enjoy my weighted walks when I get to the finish of them. I enjoy that when I'm done. I love that feeling when I'm done. There is satisfaction and enjoyment in the completed product, but not in the moment. Not when I'm fucking slogging it out and my legs are heavy as shit and my shoulders are complaining and they're wanting to rest and they want me to bend over and just take a breath. No, I don't enjoy that shit at all. When, the voices in my head are screaming at me. No, I don't enjoy that. I enjoy the end product. I enjoy the completion that I pushed through and I did the work, but I didn't enjoy it in the moment. Same applies to just generally having a healthy brain, healthy mind, being happy and satisfied. You must overcome things. Other examples of that are ice baths, sauna, difficult activities. I haven't been a fan of running for a long, long time, but in running, like true running, long distances, because it sucks. There's nothing in that. There's just flat out sucks, and it builds that muscle for you. Sprint training, hill sprints, same thing. There is no enjoyment during that moment. They are just brutal. But when it's done, you're like, yeah, I did that shit. I followed through and I finished strong. I did that shit. And those are the moments that matter. Those are the things that count. Those are the things that get you through. And that's what you've got to work on. Those are the things that you've got to keep building forward. Because it's not meant to be a day spa. It's about developing that muscle. You must take on difficult tasks and overcome them. It's like the concept of misogi, Japanese ritual, where once or twice a year you undertake a task that is so difficult that there is at least a 50% chance that you will fail. And you get lost in that work and just giving it everything, and you must be so ingrained, and you must dial in every level of discipline and focus and fortitude and effort to get that shit done. You must just find another gear. And then it's so difficult, and if you overcome it, or even if you fail, that the next year or for the rest of the year, it's like, wow, nothing can compare to the level of difficulty that task took. What a great principle. Like, that you once or twice a year take on something so difficult, so challenging, that it builds this in you that everything else after that's like, well, that was a walk in the park. That was easy as. That's game changing. That's life changing. You do that regularly. And it also builds up these fundamental memories and this credibility. We often talk about building up that self-credibility. It builds up this credibility for the long term of, you're that guy. You're that man who can get that shit done. That you undertook tasks that most people would fail. Hell, you had a 50% chance of failing, but you found another gear, you found another level, and you just committed, and you found the discipline, and you got it done. That's huge. That's something that changes the game. That's something that fundamentally rewires who you are. You know, what's the saying? Things that wire together stay together. basically the principle is that the more frequently you undertake something, the more frequently it becomes wired into who you are, wired into your brain. So if you fundamentally take on difficult tasks and conquer them, that wires into your brain that that's who you are. You're a man who undertakes difficult tasks and conquer them. You have fundamentally built into your programming that you are this man, that if you are faced with difficult tasks, you will conquer them. That it doesn't matter how long it takes, that you just keep showing up and you will fucking win. Because you are that guy. You are that man who takes it on and you win. How is that as a programming base for you? How do you think you show up in life if you just know that it doesn't matter what's thrown at you, you can fucking handle it? Because you have all this credibility of just conquering these things. Then you've taken on difficult tasks voluntarily and regularly, and you fucking win the day. You win every single time they come up. What does that scream to you? What does that say every time you face things? It means that those challenges are no longer challenges. They're not obstacles. They're not things that will derail you. It's just something to overcome. And you just do that regularly. You deliberately and regularly take on those things and you will win those things. So yeah, you become a different beast. You become a different man. You become unfuckable with. Like, you take those things on and you know you're going to win that. That fundamentally changes how you show up in life. That fundamentally changes how you respond to things. Because in life we have what happens to us, which is about 10%, and how we respond, which is 90%. So if you start showing yourself and building this credibility that difficult things don't fucking matter because you're going to crush them anyway, you show up differently, you respond differently to the things that happen to you in life, and you become an unstoppable man. So that's what we're chasing. That's what we want to be. We want to build this discipline muscle. We want to build that muscle in your brain so that you can take on anything, that you can handle anything, that difficult moments and difficult obstacles are no longer scary. They're exciting because you know that you can overcome them. So if you're ready to change your programming, if you're ready to reprogram your mind to become that man, shoot me a message. Let's get you into chasing greatness. Let's choose difficult exercise daily and rewire your programming. If you're not quite there, click the link in my bio, grab my top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. And lastly, if this spoke to you, if this was insightful or you learned something, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'm here every single day, leading from the front, sharing from my experiences as I go through this process. And I'll be back again tomorrow. Until then.